Hello friend, welcome back to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. My name is Tori Solis and today we're going to be testing Fire Road from Penguin Pottery. However, this video is a little bit special because my jar of Fire Road arrived exceptionally thick and chunky, causing the initial testing and firing I did to have unsavory lumps and bumps on the finished surface of the mug. But I have faith that with a little bit of work, this glaze can really sing. So today I will also be showing you how to add Darvan 7 and sieve a chunky glaze to restore it to a workable smooth state. I'm going to be using an 80 mesh sieve and a brush attached to my drill to sieve this glaze. When I first open up this glaze, unaltered, you can see that it is chunky, thick, and completely unworkable. No amount of mixing with my drill is going to make this better. This just is not going to work. And you can't just rough it. As shown with the first mug where I tried to just rough it, it will have lumpy, unincorporated chunks of material that will wreck the surface of the glazed piece. But fear not, there is a solution, and we are going to add 1 milliliter of Darvan 7, which is a deflocculating agent that's going to increase the liquidity of this glaze without adding any additional water. After adding in 1 milliliter of Darvan 7, I'm going to use my drill to give it a preliminary mix before we sieve the glaze. Even after a quick mix with the drill, you can see that this glaze is already much more fluid. But it still has a lot of chunks in it, so we're going to run it through an 80 mesh sieve to break up all those chunky bits. This part is pretty straightforward. You dump the glaze into the sieve and use a brush attached to a drill to work all the glaze through the sieve. The brush and the sieve will break down any lumps or clumps of materials, and anything that's too lumpy to be broken down will be removed from the glaze. With thick glazes like this, you'll need to scrape the glaze from the bottom of the sieve to make sure that none of it goes to waste. I rinsed out my glaze jar before adding the deflocculated and sieved glaze back in, just to make sure that no bits of any remaining glaze in the jar contaminate my freshly mixed batch. Now I'm going to carefully dump the mixed up glaze back into the jar. As you can see, this glaze is much more fluid, smooth, and workable, especially compared to the chunky semi-solid paste that we started out with. Now that we've adjusted this glaze into a workable state, we can go forward with our regularly scheduled glaze test video. This is a Cone 6 glaze that's listed as lead-free, non-toxic, and food-safe by the manufacturer. Now I want to make sure that this is mixed extremely well. Even though we just mixed it extremely well, if any time has passed from when you adjusted your glaze to the time that you're applying it, you want to make sure that you mix up your glaze with a really good shake or a drill and egg beater attachment. I'm going to be brushing glaze onto my test tiles. I brush my tiles in 1, 2, and 3 coats with the thickest coat at the top of the tile. I fire my tiles hanging on a high alumina rod to see how a glaze is going to perform on a vertical surface. In this way, I'm testing for running. With the thickest coat of glaze at the top of the tile, if it's going to run, it's got somewhere to go. I like to test glazes on lots of different clay bodies to get a general idea of how a glaze is going to behave on different colors and surfaces. Everyone out there is working with a different kind of clay, and maybe one of these tiles could help you guess at what might happen for you. As always, I strongly recommend that you make your own test tiles and fire them in your own kiln. Fire your test tiles exactly how you would fire your normal work. There are a lot of different factors that go into how a glaze is going to turn out for you. The best way to see how a glaze is going to work for you, in your kiln, on your clay, with your application process, is to do your own testing. Looking at this first white stoneware mug, which I glazed before adjusting the glaze with a sieve and deflocculation, we can see that the surface of this mug is lumpy with chunks of materials that didn't even melt into the glaze. In this state, this glaze is non-functional. The color is there, so I knew it had potential, but the chunks of material and rough surface are unappealing at best. Now when we look at the results of the second white stoneware mug, which was glazed after adjusting the glaze with a sieve and deflocculating with Darvan 7, the surface is smooth and glossy. The color is a rich, sparkling metallic copper, which breaks slightly to a darker brown over textures. I knew this glaze had a lot of potential, and I am so glad I took the time to adjust its physical properties to make it more functional to apply. The shimmering red-brown copper coloration is just stunning. All the tiles coming up were made with this glaze after its adjustments. My white stoneware tile shows a glossy surface with a rich red-brown copper color. This glaze really shines and has a lot of dynamic coloration. There's very little downward movement of the glaze down this tile. The Laguna B Mix tile has a glossy metallic finish with a lovely copper red-brown coloration breaking to a darker brown over texture. On the Laguna Frost porcelain tile, there's a lovely modeling of the metallic copper browns and a slight bit more downward movement and pooling at the bottom of the tile. The surface has a slightly gloss and satin metallic finish. On my speckled stoneware tile, this glaze has the same metallic copper red-brown coloration, but the large speckles in the clay cause this glaze to pit slightly in a few places. There is little to no downward movement on this tile, and the glaze breaks to a dark brown around areas of texture. The Laguna Speckled Buff tile shows an overall much darker coloration. There is still metallic shimmering and a bit of the coppery red-brown, but more of a dark brown with much more distinct breaking to dark brown over textures. The speckles in this clay did not seem to cause any pitting on the surface of the glaze, but the speckles are mostly muted out by this glaze. The glaze is stable on this tile with no signs of downward motion. The results on red stoneware are overall more of a coppery red-brown with metallic shimmer. This glaze breaks to brown over deep textures on the tile and has a very minimal downward movement. The Laguna B3 black tile has an overall darker tone. The surface is a rich dark metallic brown with a glossy surface. There's much more of a bronze tone to this tile and less of that copper red. While it is different than the other tiles, this glaze still has a good fit and coloration on this dark clay body. Overall, with a little bit of adjustments to the physical properties of this glaze to get it flowing smoothly, this is a gorgeous copper red-brown glaze that creates dynamic shimmering metallic effects that break to dark brown in areas of texture. The underlying clay body can slightly affect the tone of the color that you're going to get from this glaze, but all of the results that I saw here today were quite lovely. With a small amount of extra effort, this is a beautiful and dynamic glaze that I am sure you can make use of in your own studio. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed learning more about this glaze and can make use of this information in your own studio. If you'd like to help support my channel so I can get more glazes to test for you, consider becoming a member of my channel right here on YouTube. If you'd like to see all the ceramics I currently have available for sale, visit my website, bluenosetrading.com. If you'd like to stick around for more art videos, be sure that you're subscribed to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. Thank you so much for being here until the end of the video. Remember that you have great ideas that are worth exploring, drink enough water, and I will see y'all in the next video.